Hello and good evening to everybody out there. This is Amateur Radio Roundtable. It's a show about ham radio. We're coming to you from Collierville, Tennessee tonight. Want to welcome everybody out there, especially if you're listening on international shortwave on WBCQ on 7490 kilohertz. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know where in the world you are and how you're hearing the station and how you found us and so forth. If you will, send an email to Tom at w5kub.com, Tom at w5kub.com. Would really appreciate hearing from you. And hey, if you're listening to the podcast out there, a lot of people just listen to the podcast. We're carried just about by every podcast carrier there is out there. iTunes, iNet Radio, Google Play, all the guys are carrying us. So if you're listening out there, we don't hear too much from you guys. Send us an email. One guy last week did send me an email. Send me an email. I'd like to hear from you if you listen to the podcast there. That would be great. Again, we're coming to you on shortwave from WBCQ up in Monticello, Maine there on 7490 kilohertz. About 50,000 watts. Nothing just really big, but it is heard in a number of countries. So we'd love to hear from you. Let's see. Hey, just a couple house cleaning things real quick. If you will, hit the subscribe button. We really need you to hit the subscribe button, and I'm going to give you a little help here. I'm going to put a little arrow down that way. Let's see if I can change that. I think that subscribe button is more like right about there. Let me move that down a little bit. Move it over there. Yeah. Hit that subscribe button. That'll help us out a whole lot to advertise our show. A lot of our viewers find us from the YouTube advertisement, and that's kind of cool. So the more people we subscribe, the more YouTube will actually, let people know about our show when they're surfing around in YouTube. Excuse me. Hey, join our Facebook group. We've got a great Facebook group. Facebook has changed things from its private to public now, and they've kind of messed everything up. It works different now. So we're not going to really get a count anymore of who we have in a group because it's a public group now. That means anybody can see it. But last count, we had about 13,000 hams that had registered and joined our group. So we got a great group of ham radio guys and girls and shortwave listeners in here. And join our ham radio group. It's just called W5KUB. Just search in Facebook for W5KUB and you'll find it there. And we'll add you right into the group there. So let's see. That's about all the announcements there. Let's jump over to see what Glenn's got going. Glenn's in here. Good afternoon, Glenn. How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, Tom. Doing real good. This is my day that I have to go into the office, so managed to sneak out and survive another day. But right now, we're just going, both barrels on the new book that's due to be in their hands by the first of the year, end of December. So we're just going as fast as we can on that, and hopefully we'll get that done in time. Been thinking up and working on a couple new projects and things like that. So it's full speed ahead now that winter's here and we're not roasting and cooking inside the house.
All right, well, very good, man. So you had to work today. What are you working at, 3 days a week at the office?
Yeah, I go in 3 days a week, and I work from home, too.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm not saying we get lazy, but, hey, when you work at home for a couple of years, you just don't want to go in the office, right?
Yeah, and that's pretty much the way it is. You get used to being able to sleep in and don't have to dress up. You can, stay in your pajamas all day and just sip coffee all day and, just relax.
Hey, I loved it when I'd work at home. Hey, you don't have to get up and shave. You don't have to comb your hair. You don't have to do any of that stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, any Zoom meetings or whatever that we have are all without video, so I
Oh,
don't have
really?
to get cleaned up at all. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, cool.
Yeah, but you do get used to not going into work and driving to work 3 days a week now. I'm kind of like, this is rough, particularly with the Memphis traffic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well,
I mean, they're crazy.
you'll retire one of these days like I am, and you'll get really busy then, man. You won't even have time to write books when you retire. You'll be so busy.
Actually, I'll be so busy writing books, I won't have time for anything else.
I've got a lot of things going on, all the time now. I don't really have a lot of time to do much of anything. I'm just so busy.
I understand.
Man.
I'm kind of the same way.
Just so busy. Well, we I'm hearing some noise. I don't know what that's coming from.
I'm not hearing it.
We had your form on here last week. Didn't get a chance to turn it over to people out in the chat room if they had questions. I don't know if anybody has emailed you or contacted you, but guys, we've got we're live tonight with Glenn, and if you have questions from last week about his Arduino, the next generation that he talked about, put a note in the chat room here. We'll be glad to answer that for you tonight on the show. And also you'll get a chance when we go to after the show, guys. Probably around 9 o'clock we'll go to the after the show, and that is where Amateur Radio Roundtable ends and the smorgasbord starts. We'll talk about anything and everything, and we'll let you enter into the show through a Zoom link, and you'll actually be on the live webcast with us. So we're looking forward to that. Couple things. Hey, Glenn, I got to show you how busy I am. Show you. Hey, I did get my antennas, my rotors. Well, that's not it. I did get my rotors fixed out there. I put me a new base out there and painted it this time. And the other one was so rotten. You take your hand and just break it. And I didn't paint it when I put it up here. So hopefully this one will last a few more years. But that holds my antenna system up. Again, guys, for satellite work, it doesn't have to be high. I've got a fairly convenient place on that little flat roof over my back porch, and a satellite antenna works just as good on the ground as it would 100 feet in the air, pretty much. So
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. There's the antennas. Looks like they're pointing up at about 40 degrees or so elevation there. And so I've got both the azimuth and the elevation rotors working. I haven't had time yet to even hook the coax up to the new 9700 and listen around. I've got to interface that to the computer for the satellite program. We're going to use, I think it's called PC Sat 32. That's what most people are using now. So, Glenn, now you got your 9700 in this past week, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, but it's still in the box.
Yeah, well,
I am clearing off shelf space for it. So hopefully in the next week or two, it'll at least be on the shelf, and it'll be hooked up.
Yeah. But, so same thing here. Mine's sitting in a box for about 4 weeks before I even opened it. Of course, we had COVID. When you have COVID, you don't really feel like opening a box and anything like that. And I sure didn't want to get any COVID germs on it there. Hey,
I've got the 101 sitting right here, and it's about ready to go up on its shelf.
Yeah. Hey, and that's an Icom rig. You're a Yaesu guy too, right?
Yeah.
You're a Yaesu guy. Hey, I ran into something today. I want to read this to people. Did you know that Yaesu has gone vegan? Did you know that?
No.
Well, they have, and let me see if I can bring this up. And I just saw it today. I can't tell you much about it, but let me bring this up, and we're going to talk about this just for a second. This is interesting. So here's one of the clubs up in Canada had an article today about Yaesu USA going vegan. It says, amateur radio has existed in a bubble for decades. But, now we got many younger people in ham radio. And they're at Dayton this year. Now, I did not see them. But in Dayton this year, there was obviously a young group that had a booth there. And they were kind of protesting the parts of ham radio where, it kind of affected animals and I don't know, all this stuff. So look at this. So let me just hit a couple live points here. Let's see. It all started at the 2022 Hamvention when a small booth off a quieter part of the convention where a small group of young hams led by 16-year-old KA6VEG lobbied for change. It says Burnett claims that much of amateur radio equipment is made with little or no concern for animal welfare or the monetization of animals as a commodity. Now, I'm not sure I'm even reading this right, but amateur radio, little or no concern for animal welfare.
Well, the last I heard, I don't think we use animals in our hobby.
Well, Yaesu, listen to this.
Maybe you've got an SWR analyzer or a power meter that, stick it in a side of beef or something.
Well, listen to this, though. Yaesu USA representative Pico Maruya took notice, and he has pledged to the young operators that Yaesu has taken their concerns seriously and will be developing future product lines with veganism in mind. So your radios, your Yaesu radios are going to change because they're going to be starting to be designed now with veganism. With veganism.
So I'm going to have politically correct radios.
So let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got here. Mary Rua says that Yaesu will be developing future product lines with these goals in mind. And he is quite certain most major radio manufacturers will be forced to adopt these measures. I'm having to read a monitor that's about 10 feet away from me, and it's pretty small here. Listen to this. Okay, so here, no animal testing of products. I didn't know we tested animals with our radios.
No.
Maybe a monkey to turn a dial, or
yeah, maybe, yeah,
maybe a monkey.
I love the gluten-free radios.
Well, have you seen that on here?
Yeah. They're going to use soy-based semiconductors and other components also free of gluten.
That's right.
The biodegradable solders that'll dissolve harmlessly. Don't we already have that with the silver solders?
I don't know, but you know what? Hey, I'm not saying this is true. I'm not saying it's false. I'm just saying I ran across it today, and the way things are going, I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe that people think this stuff,
Yeah, well, see, I'm kind of surprised that they let the word ham stand in all of that.
Yeah.
You should have gone after the ham.
Next we'll be changing the name ham because that comes from an animal. We can't be hams anymore. I don't know what would we be? Stumps or something like a tree stump or
who knows?
I don't know, man. I don't know. No, I don't think it was written April 1st. I that was one of the first things that came in my mind. Is this an April Fool's thing? It may have been. Who knows, man? But anyway, I thought that would be kind of something neat to bring up tonight. And so let's see.
Actually, to be honest, with the diet my doctors have me on, I'm about as close to vegan as you can get without being a vegan.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. It may be, there's no date. There's no, Glenn, one of the things that, no, there's a date right there. 9/15/2022.
There you go. No,
So that
it's not
does
April
not
Fool's.
appear. Let's see. Let me show you that. That does not appear to be. That does not appear to be a April Fool's
April
date
Fool's, no.
right there for sure. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah, and Bill in the chat room, what are the Flying Pigs QRP Club going to do? Well, you're going to have to
Well,
ground the pigs for one thing.
I don't know. But there is such thing as fly. Yeah, I mean, a pig can fly. I mean,
Oh, yes.
hey, in the Air Force, I learned if you put enough thrust behind anything, it can fly.
It can fly. Yes,
That's
sir.
right, man. Yeah, that's all you got to do, man. All right. Okay. Well, I thought that was an interesting comment just to kind of start the show with here, and let people kind of discuss it during the show here, see what kind of thoughts they may have. And if any of you guys find any more information on that, shoot us an email so we can follow up on the show with it and discuss whether or not it's true, it's not true. I don't know.
Well, I tell you what, I have to say, I'm kind of happy because I went to the store yesterday for groceries and I found sugar-free marshmallows.
Sugar-free marshmallows.
So I am now very happy. And Mark, no, my cats are not vegan. Period. End of story.
So hey,
I
how
keep
does that
them
sugar?
fed so they don't feed on me.
How does that sugar-free taste? I mean, they taste okay, or they just kind of taste?
I haven't opened the bag
You haven't
yet.
tried
I'm going
it
to wait
yet?
for the weekend.
All right.
But they look pretty darn good. And for somebody who's, marshmallows are not on my diet.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, that level of sugar would send me into a coma.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to that. I found some little coconut cookies the other week, and those actually taste really good, and they're also low carb.
Yeah. Well, look,
Yeah, open the bag and try one on the show. Yeah, no.
I see Bill in the chat room, ELK in the chat room. I don't know why he didn't connect here tonight.
He may be on a super slow
again,
connection
it may be his internet. It was pretty bad the last time or two.
Yeah.
But I'm going to kind of focus in on a couple of Pico balloons tonight, and so Bill, you can put your comments. You can put your comments in the chat room if you can't get into the Zoom connection tonight. So hey guys, one of the things I wanted just to mention to everybody. Look at this. Look at this. W5KUB 112 has been in the mission has been going 115 days, 11 hours, and 20 minutes.
That's impressive.
Now we lost them. We lost them for about a week when they went up into the Arctic, but they came back down.
No. They did not go up into the Arctic. They let the transponder tell you it was up in the Arctic.
They may have just turned it. They may have just turned it off. They may have just turned it off. That could have happened.
They just turned it off and went to Fiji for a week and then decided to make it look right.
So we're at almost 4 months on this flight, and it is still really doing good. I mean, we are still in the 47 to 48,000 feet.
That's impressive. It really is.
Just a year or two ago,
days.
you couldn't even fly that high. Now
Right.
we've come down that low. We've come down from 51,000 to that. So we have probably leaked a little bit of hydrogen over 4 months. But that is this is a kind of Huey, Dewey, and Louie is kind of a success story. They've been doing a lot of flights. Someone asked our Facebook group the other day. We've had good luck, we've had bad luck. We've crashed a bunch. We started flying these balloons about 2 or 3 years ago, and for the show, we've tried to keep one up every month for about 3 years, and we put a lot of flights up. But Ham asked us, a month or so ago. He says, "Tom, you got a lot of figures. What are you doing wrong, or what are you doing different than everybody else?" Well, I don't think we're doing anything different than anybody else. It's just they had better luck than we did, and it's luck really that gets you these results here. You can do a lot of planning, and you can do a lot of measurement, and you can do a lot of mechanical structure to make it solid, but if you don't have luck, it ain't gonna stay up. I mean, you can put $1,000 Pico balloon up there, and it'll burst when it hits float level and come down the same day. So, luck is one of the things. So we've had good luck with this flight. The balloons that we always flown aren't made for flying up at 40,000 feet and at minus 40 degrees temperature. They're just not made for that,
Well, that's what's so impressive is these are the inexpensive balloons, and they're holding up extremely well.
Yeah, and these balloons, they don't really have any quality checks to them for what we're doing. In fact, the manufacturer of these balloons that we're using now, the manufacturer, if you look at it, they're mainly for parties, party balloons. And
Right.
and they talk about it'll hold helium for 1 week. So, they're saying it should hold helium for a week. Well, we've been flying now for 4 months, and it's held our hydrogen. Now, that
hydrogen is, what is it? 1 electron lower than, helium, so it should leak out easier.
Well, I think it doesn't leak out easier because I think what my reading is, well, here's where we need Bill in here. He's the expert.
But, it joins up into an H2 molecule?
Yeah, it basically, they what do you call it? They join up and double. I forget the word, but and another thing, they may stick to the balloon material and fill a hole. I don't know, man. But anyway, hey, it's doing good. So let's talk just a little about 112. And I'm going to tell you something. We got some exciting things coming up for our next launch. We're going to try to do a launch of W5KB 113. Let's see, that's Tuesday. Thursday morning. We're going to try to Thursday morning launch 113. And it's going to have a lot of neat things in it that we haven't flown before. But there's a lot of risk. And so we're not expecting it to do at 112. Let me pull up 112 here. And let's look at it and see where it is real quick. So there we are right now. We're over. Let's see. Let me pull this up here. We are over Canada. We're over Canada here. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oh, wrong way. Let me zoom out, and we'll see kind of where we are. There we are. We're about mid-Canada right now, and we're heading east. And so far, so good. That says we're about 47,700 feet or so. So that's good. We're not gaining, and we're still pretty high. At 47,000 feet, we have less wind movement up there.
Yeah, you're still pretty much above the jet stream there.
Well, we're doing 23 miles per hour. That's been about the fastest that we have gone. Let's see if we can pull up the Hab Hub and a prediction on where this thing is going to go after today. So, okay, so here we are. Let's put the high split on. Okay, we got the prediction now. There we go. Looks like we got a pretty straight shot all the way across the Atlantic into Europe there. So that's great if we don't make any detours. And that keeps us down in an area too where we got a little bit of sunlight, So we're going to, those dots there represent, I think, 80 hours of flight. So in about 80 hours, we should be there at Europe. Okay, so one of the things on Flight 112 is, let me tell you a little about Flight 112 and the differences that we're going to have here as we launch 113. So 112 is coming in at a whopping 7.8 grams of weight. That's the entire weight of our payload. That includes the tracker, the GPS, the transmitter, the processor, the 20 meter, 34-foot antenna, all their solar cells, all of that comes in at 7.8 grams. And if you don't know what a gram is, I mean, I think a penny weighs about 2 grams. So that's less than the weight of 4 pennies, and it's pretty small. And you guys have seen our tracker before. That's it right there. This is a little 10 milliwatt. This is the GPS antenna here on top. And then we tack on here a 17-foot wire that goes up and a 17-foot wire that goes down. That's our 20-meter antenna. So 10 milliwatts, it typically has been heard around the world, but we get into some areas where the communications is really bad for several days. And I'm also suspecting that KUB 112 might have some mechanical problems. We're getting lesser reports. So I'm wondering if the bottom half of the antenna has broken off, because it just hangs below the tracker. I did some testing here in the yard with the tracker pulled up under a tree with the dipole out there. And, I was getting anywhere from 20 to 40 spots each 10 minutes. And then I cut the bottom antenna off. I cut the bottom part of the dipole off, the ground side. And my 20 to 40 spots went down to 7 spots each time. So it was still getting out, but it was very much reduced. So I put that back on, and I tried the antenna again. I cut the top off, which hooks to the RF output, and just left the bottom half the 20-meter antenna on there. Ran the same test, and actually no one heard it except me here at my house, and I was only 100 feet from it. So losing the bottom half of the antenna gives us kind of the response that we're seeing right now. So I think we could have some trouble. But as long as it's still transmitting, and as long as we're getting several tracks per day, we know where it is and it's flying. So I'm okay with that. Now, let's move on. Let's move on to 113. We're going to do 113 here and probably launch it Thursday morning. We're going to put gas in it tomorrow afternoon. We're going to put hydrogen in it tomorrow afternoon. Now, 113 is going to have some features that 112 doesn't have. And it's an experimental flight. And the only problem is, if you remember, 112 weighed 7.8 grams total. 113 is going to weigh 18 grams. It's heavy. 18 grams. Now, the balloon we're using, I put it in a spreadsheet. It says we're going to fly at 45 to 47,000 feet at 18 grams. So I think the balloon can handle it. With these small balloons, I really think you need to stay below 10 grams if you want to be real successful. So we're going with 18 grams on this launch. Now, the reason it's so much heavier is this. We have taken our solar panels. We've added an extra cell to each side. And we've got 2 sides. We've duplicated the 2 sides. Now, the reason we duplicated this is we put that down at an angle to get low sun angle. And we need about 20 degrees of sun to make those cells work. So we have each side tilted at 45 degrees. Now, at 45 degrees tilt, the sun at the horizon, when it comes up, the sunrise comes up, it's well above 20 degrees. And as the sun goes up and hits the peak, and then the sun comes down to sunset, these cells should pick up that sun from sunrise to sunset. Another one that we did like this, we actually saw, let's see if I think that's going to be Bill. Let's see if I can get Bill in here. So another one we did like this prior to this, we were able to actually pick the sun up, useful sun up, 2 degrees below the horizon. So you can see an extra, and we added an extra cell because we wanted a little bit more voltage. We're going to be running a 100 milliwatt power amplifier, if you call that power. And because of that, we added an extra solar cell in there. Normally we run 6, 4 or 5. So we got 7 cells on there right now. So normally we run about 6 cells. So here we added an extra cell. We've got 7 cells. And again, we duplicated it. And we duplicated that angle is because you never know which way this thing is aimed. So we had to duplicate the angles in case the sun is on the other side or in case that thing turns around. Now you might ask, well, what if the sun's on the end? Well, there's a very small area right at the end where it doesn't pick up sun very well. But if it's coming in at any angle from the front or the rear, those cells in testing outside seem to pick up plenty of sunlight to power. So we think we're in good shape with just 2 45s right there to power our PA. Now let's see. Let's do this. Let's take just a quick break, and we'll be right back, and we'll finish up on this. And don't go away. So we'll be back, guys. See you in a minute.
LDG Electronics. Every amateur need, from QRP to QRO, fixed stations, portable and remote, an LDG tuner will match your radio to your antenna using our lightning-fast proprietary tuning algorithms. LDG is a family-owned and operated company dedicated to bringing innovative, quality products to the amateur market. All LDG products carry a full 2-year warranty that is fully transferable. Support is only a phone call or email away. We're always here to help you. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.
Keep your competitive contesting edge with Icom. Icom's high-powered base stations cut through the pileups, letting you work the bands and record those contacts. Contest from the comfort of your home or remotely with the RS-BA1 app. The IC7851 gives you a new window into the RF world and is HF excellence unparalleled. With faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. It is truly the pinnacle of HF perfection. It has dual receivers, digital IF filters, high-resolution spectrum waterfall. The IC7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that has changed the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. Features include RF direct sampling, 110 dB RMDR, independent dual receivers. Create your own band opening with the IC9700. This transceiver brings direct sampling to the UHF-VHF weak signal world. This all-mode transceiver is loaded with innovative features that are sure to keep you very busy. It has fast processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. Included are real-time high-speed spectrum scope and waterfall display, smooth satellite operation with 99 satellite channels, dual watch operation, and full duplex operation in satellite mode. The IC7300 is the high-performance innovative HF transceiver with a compact design, and it will far exceed your expectations. This innovative HF transceiver digitizes RF before various receiver stages, reducing inherent noise in different IF stages. The IC7300 changed the way entry-level HF is designed. Features include RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope. For more information on Icom radios, visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur. All right. Well, I think we're back here. I was just talking with Bill. Let me bring your camera up there. I was just talking with Bill there during our break there, and we've got an opportunity to launch and fly a tracker from Antarctica. If we can get one put together, it will be taken down to Antarctica and fly there. And Bill, if you launch one down there, what's it going to do? Just kind of go around the pole? How long is it going to stay up?
All summer long. Their summer, well, last until April. But it could stay up all year long and show up again when the sun comes back to Antarctica.
Oh man, so, that's right. The sun, it's going to be dark down there, isn't it?
Well, no, this is going to be. They're going to launch it during the summer, so it'll be a daylight all day long.
Okay.
You might want to do the pyramid arrangement.
Yeah, that adds so much weight, but
it's about well, it doesn't matter really because there are no convection storms, thunderstorms of any sort. It's smooth sailing, clear skies.
All
right. No storms.
We may try to get something together, and
we're putting. I'm building 4 whisper trackers. K4UAH is the club at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. Todd McKinney, KN4TPG, is actually flying down to the German Neumayer station. Some of you may have seen DP0POL on Whisper.
Yeah.
And that's an Antarctic station on Whisper, and that's where he's flying. And they typically send up a weather balloon every so often, and they can fly 7 Pico balloons for the amount of helium that is in one of the small weather balloons. So they're very excited about the opportunity to send up some ham radio flights over Antarctica. So
yeah, I don't know. This
will be a real neat project.
Don't know if you remember, we had a guy on here from one of the Antarctica stations here a while back, and I think he could have got one in the Air Force. He said they had some helium down there. He may have had to sneak a couple of shots of it, but anyway, hey, that sounds interesting. We'll oh man, okay. Yeah.
He'll be down there a month, flying a Pico balloon every at least once a week, probably more. He says the more the merrier. You can send more than one down.
Yeah, boy, they're going to have kid gloves on to handle mine. The ones you send down are probably going to have those little flexible cells on them, aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah. You got to really handle this one with kid gloves, man. I'm talking baby gloves, man. Okay, but we'll try it. Well, maybe I ought to, maybe I ought to change the panels out for an Antarctica. That might be a better solution down there. Okay. All right, we'll think about that. We'll try to get one down there probably. So, hey Bill, I'm talking about our 113. We're going to gas it up tomorrow, and we're going to probably launch it Thursday morning. And I was showing everybody, we're just using the 45 degree here. That worked out really well for us. Last time we flew it picked up sunlight really, really low. I've tested it outside, and even off the ends, we get quite a bit of sun. There's enough sun that comes in at an angle off the ends that if it hits both those sides, we get plenty of voltage here, So we're gonna.
Have you tried it with your power amplifier?
Yeah, I have. In fact, it's been sitting outside today with the PA on there, and it's been clicking away. And I even put it up in the tree the other night. Now, here's the problem: to get the double panels, that's extra styrofoam. That's 9 extra cells we're putting on this thing. It's coming in heavy, man. It's coming in. Well, what's that? That's showing about 10 grams. That's not right. That's showing about 10, but it's coming in at about 18 grams. You can see it there from the end. Of course, we've got Schottky diodes that block each side there to keep the voltage from trying to feed back to a dark side. So what I did, I put this together just on a little piece of cardboard. It looks really crude. But I put the tracker on a piece of cardboard, and I put 8 cells out there, and I got a current meter and a voltmeter connected, and I took it out in the sun, and it worked fine there. You can see there. In fact, that was low sun. I was seeing 3.6 volts, but you can see there at low sun we're getting about 3.3 volts, and that's 119 milliamps here that it was drawing. So we're gonna. We've proven that the cells can handle it. What is this right here? Oh, that's just a little test setup. If you guys remember on a show back in early summer, we built a little power supply with a little buck boost adjustment on it there, and that's it on top right there. You can actually turn that knob and adjust the voltage in 1/100th of a volt, and that's been really good about hooking it to the tracker. You know, you can turn it down to 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, and you can look at the output, and you can see the spectrum analyzer there. We're showing right at 10 milliwatts output right there on the spectrum analyzer. Bill, one of my concerns is the spectrum analyzer is 50 ohms, but when I hook it to an antenna, it's not 50 ohms. I know it's not 50 ohms, and I have really no idea what the real power is there. I have tried to, let's see.
You can get a comparison on Whisper from the reception reports of, I don't know if there's a way you could operate for a couple of transmissions directly from the board, 10 milliwatts, 12 milliwatts, and then kicking the power amp, and then seeing what kind of signal levels increase.
I tried to measure it with my scope. You know, the scope is very high impedance, a megohm or something. So with it on an antenna, and again, the antenna that would be on here would not be the antenna that's flying. So, but still, to measure power with a scope, I think the formula is power equals E square over R. So I think the E, and I've never really done this before, I think the E is RMS voltage. It's not peak to peak. It's not peak. I think it's RMS, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm seeing my scope, my new scope I've got. This is great, man. I mean, it reads the frequency, and it says 3.51 volts peak to peak. So to get peak to get RMS voltage from peak to peak, you multiply that by 0.3535, and that gives you your RMS voltage. And then you got to square it. You square your RMS voltage, and you divide it by R, which is 50 ohms. And that came out somewhere around 30 milliwatts. And I don't think that's what we're running. Of course, the spectrum analyzer with a 50 ohm load says we're running closer to 100 milliwatts. So my using my scope to measure it doesn't really prove anything there. So let's see. I've got let me see. Okay, I've got a short video here. It's about 7 or 8 minutes, just to show people kind of what we go through. Here's a tracker. I tested it during the night just to see how the amplifier would do. If you look at the top right, you'll see a little silver circuit board. That's the PA. And then that big green thing, the green breaks off, but that green is actually our tracker. I had to run it on batteries because I was out under a tree, and I ran it at nighttime, and even during the daytime under the tree, don't get any sunlight, so I ran it on 3 knock heads there just to test. And we got some great pickups with the PA on it there. So let's see. And I just pulled that up under a tree with a dipole on it. Oh, there's a picture of it on the scope here. If you look at it there, it's showing 14.1, which is the real frequency is around 14.095 or so. But the scope showing 14.1. It's showing 3.53 volt peak to peak. So that's what I based my calculations on. And I don't know if you heard me, Bill, but based on my calculations with the scope, it calculates out somewhere around 30 milliwatts instead of 100. The spectrum analyzer with a 50 ohm load is showing close to 100. So
By the way, one of your previous shows cost me more money.
Did you order one of these? Oh, look at there, man! Look at there. Oh, cool, man. Hey,
Join
Bill.
the club.
And hey, I got an email today from a guy up in Tulane. He said he watched the show and he ordered it that night, and he said he had his the next day. So
Wow.
there's several people. And
It wasn't long. It was
Yeah.
2 days for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm still learning, and Bill, it's kind of automatic. Some of the older scopes like I used to, you have to turn the time, and bring the time down around to where you see the waveform. This thing's got an auto button on it. You hit it and it'll automatically go there. Which I don't know. Maybe that's been standard the last few years, and I'm just old school. I don't know, but
I don't remember that. That's a nice feature.
But the auto
it's a
function
far cry from the old analog scopes we had.
The auto function is just really neat here now. I just got to figure out how to do some of the other things with it, But anyway, that's on the scope here. Let's see.
You need to get a commission, Tom.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen. So there you go, right there. That's got the PA in it. It's got all the cells on it. It's got the tracker. Look at there, 15 grams, and our antenna system is going to be about 2 grams. So we're up right at 18 grams, and I kind of hate that happens. But again, this is going to be an experimental flight. It may not stay up long. It may stay up a few days, I hope, a week. But this flight is to test the low angle cells, and it's also to test the PA. And I'm hoping that the PA will just burn up the sky, man. Hey, I want to show you a little video I did on a balloon real quick to show people what we kind of do to the balloon and how we figure out how much gas and stuff to put in it. Here's a picture of the fill tube on the balloon. And Bill, man, that thing is scaring me. I'm looking at it again today. There ain't much there to seal up on the outside. I mean, you can do one little fold over, and I've been testing Gorilla Glue and Super Glue. I've had a balloon here that I blew up, so I've been testing different glues on the material, and so far they're not sticking very well at all. I'm going to go get some glue tomorrow that I've used. It appears to work a little better. It's a 2-part. It's got an activator and like a super glue and an activator, and it makes.
Is that what you used on 112?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. And I'm sure I didn't get it in there very good. So I want to make sure that we really seal this up. I don't know if you can see the tape there, Bill, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned that tying our tracker on that little tab right there might come loose. Even though we're going to tape it up good and everything. So I put another string on the balloon there using, what is it, Kaplan tape?
My only concern with that is that balloon will start stretching, and the tape will prevent it from stretching. Could produce a weak point on the balloon by doing that. Yeah,
I thought about that, and actually the balloon is kind of stretched right there. So I didn't put it on with it deflated, so that's up.
That could that could produce a weak point.
We'll see what happens, but that's about the only way to attach the string is to put it under something like that. And we'll use that string as kind of a backup string there. I've got a quick video here I'm gonna put on, and I'm gonna show you just quickly inflating this balloon, measuring the volume, measuring the pressure, and then how we get the air out. And what was that, Bill?
Nothing.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Let me see if I can get this going here. And we can talk. We should be able to talk as this thing is playing. My computer's not responding very well. There we go. Let me get it back. Here we go. All right. So we should be able to talk over this. WKB 113 ready to fly. We're going to blow this balloon up again. This one was pre-stretched about a month ago, before Dayton actually, and then put back in a package. I don't know if that damages it or if it helps it or hurts it. I have no idea. You never know if you're going to get a good balloon or not to fly that doesn't have defects. So we're going to be putting air in it just to expand it to see what kind of volume we can get. We're going to measure our pressure with our homemade manometer. Basically, it's just a water tube. Just a water tube, and we have a adjustment knob here. We can loosen this knob and slide this up and down to calibrate it. So we have the bottom of the ruler right on the top edge of that. So the pressure, the air pressure in the balloon actually will come in and it will push this water down and push this up right here. And we measure the distance here, and we double it because you actually have to add the rise and you have to add the fall. So they should be equal. So whatever we read here, we will double it. So for instance, if we get water column up to 4 inches, that's actually 8 inches, and 8 inches is 0.288 psi. So that's what we're going to do to measure the pressure that we can get in the balloon without bursting it. We probably need about 0.25 when it's flying. So we're going to try to test it up to around 0.4. So you can see our setup there, and let's put a little air in it. And we'll discuss this. High pressure in. Got a very small filler tube here, so it's going to not be much going in at all. That didn't go that fast, guys. I put it on fast forward. Circumference, and then we can calculate the volume. Anything. All right, we're showing about 2 1/4. About 2 1/4. About 4.5 inches water column. 4.5 inches water column is for 0.15 psi. Put it right there. We take the manometer. We're at 5.5. 5.5 means we're at 10 inches column of water. 10 inches of water is 0.360. So we can take a little bit higher. Actually, 5.5 would be 11 inches right here. Balloon should stand up to about 0.4. Let me get a string out and measure the circumference there. So that way we can calculate the internal volume of the balloon. That's important when we put our hydrogen in. Because we need to know how much this thing is going to expand and how much hydrogen we put in here. Okay, I'm going to try to measure the volume. Again, I've got a string here. Which I put the string around it. This is not easy to do. Maybe there. I'm going to do, I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to tie a knot in the thing right here that what's the circumference of the balloon from top to bottom. That way I'll have kind of a reference there. So slide to the top. I'm going to try to go from side to side. I don't know if I can do it or not. We'll try. Yep. It's about an inch shorter that way. So let's measure this. Measure this and see what we got in it as far as circumference. Got to take a tape measure here. We're going to just measure from the knot and see what kind of circumference we have. Got 102 inches. 102 inches, which is good. That makes the volume of this balloon about somewhere around 1/4 of a cubic meter. So that's going to be our starting point there. So we're going to stretch it out a little bit more. See if we can get a little bit more circumference, a little bit more volume there. Oh, we got 6 inches. 6 inches of water column. Double that. That's 12 inches of water column. 12 inches of water column is about 0.4 psi. So we don't want to go any higher with that. And we'll try to measure the circumference again. I think we picked up about an inch. Oh, we picked up about an inch. Yeah. Circumference there. It's about 102 inches. I don't want to push it, but I would imagine as we fly and as the hydrogen expands, this is going to get a little bit larger. To how much, we don't know, but maybe we'll get 103, 104, 105 inches of circumference, maybe. But we're going to hold it right there and just let it sit like this for a while. So this is a 4-gore balloon, meaning it's actually got 4 sides to it, and when that fills out, it fills out almost completely round. The balloons that we have been flying all these years basically were 2 gores, 2 sides, and they filled out like a pancake. So you can see they fill out like a pancake. They don't hold as much volume as one that fills out like a spear. A spear has a whole lot more volume than a pancake. Each of the 4 gores is sealed here. You can't see it, but and there's a seal there where they're stuck together, and it is like a 100th of a millimeter. I mean, I don't know how that's holding up, but obviously it is. So we'll see what happens. We're gonna just leave the pressure up for a while, and just let the balloon kind of stretch itself for a day or two. We know we're around 102 inches, so we can do that. Put that in our formula to figure out our gas. So there we are. This is 35 KUB-113. We hope to launch it real soon. Hey, we have tested the balloon up to about a little over 0.400 psi. At altitude, it's going to probably have a differential pressure about a 0.25 maybe. Anyway, we're going to try to suck all the air out now. Our problem with this type balloon is the filler is very small. You can see it's really, really small here. And this is going to be tough sealing. Well, we've got a piece of heat shrink tubing that's stuck inside here. I can feel the air coming out. So it's stuck in here. This is a self-sealing valve which collapses when that tube's not in here. But we're going to try to glue it too. In addition, we'll tie our string on this little tab right here in case it breaks off. We have added, we're going to take our string here, and you can see we've got it under some tape. Some nice tape here that hopefully will also be our backup holding it on. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our shop back. Take our shop back here. We're going to slide this heat shrink tubing up in our shop vac, and then what we're going to do, we're going to hold our hands over this end here to kind of regulate how much suction we get. So let's take some air out. We need to get every bit of air out. We don't want to leave any air in there at all.
How long did that take, Tom?
Oh, it wasn't that fast. It probably took 10 minutes at least, maybe longer.
Tested our last flight at successful 2.4 PSI.
Now, what was that, Bill? Pretty flat.
The last successful flight we had, a UAH, we tested the 0.4 PSI.
0.4, that's where I typically go to with this. Someone asked in the chat room, I said, why don't you use a weather balloon? It's stretchy.
Right,
it's this. Wait a minute. We're getting WIKB 113 ready to fly. I gotta stop this. Hang on. Here we go. All right. You know, they said it's flexible and stretch. Well, guys, that won't work for this type balloon. This balloon is designed to fill up to a certain amount and stop stretching. It has to stop stretching, and when it stops stretching, that sets the altitude that it's going to fly at. If it keeps stretching, and we tried building balloons over the year, and that was a lot of fun, but it was a disaster. If a balloon keeps stretching and stretching and stretching, it keeps getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and it stretches more and more, and it gets thinner and thinner, and so forth. So I even contacted the balloon people that make the weather balloons, and they said their balloons are made to not last more than a day or two. They say they are made to dissolve or go bad under ultraviolet light. So that would not work for us because we have a lot of high ultraviolet light up here, and we want this balloon to stay up. Like 112 has been up for 4 months now. The weather balloon, it's going to go up. It's going to go up maybe one day. It might last 2 days. Who knows? But it's going to just keep going up and up and up and expanding and higher and expanding till the point it pops. And then it's going to fall. And if it doesn't pop because of pressure, it's going to pop because the UV destroyed it. You got any thoughts about that, Bill?
That's a good.
Yeah.
We've had latex weather balloon park itself at 120,000 feet for a day, all night long. You can indeed float them for a day or two, and they'll go hundreds of miles away by doing that. Mm-hmm. But you had to. It takes special conditions to make it do that. You had to have a very light payload, very little positive lift, and a big balloon. We had one that was unintentionally parked at 102,000 feet out of Cleveland, Tennessee, and it ended up in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And it went all night long, floating around 100 to 90,000 feet. It kind of bounced around in that range. But as soon as after sunrise, the sun started beating down on it again, and after about 4 hours, the UV degraded the latex and it popped.
Yeah.
Now, we had one flight out of San Francisco area, out of San Jose, K6RPT, flew it in December, so there's very short days and at fairly high latitude, and he managed to get a 2-day flight out of it and ended up in Morocco. That's cool.
Out of
a latex weather balloon. So that was really the record for distance.
You know, Bill, when we were trying to build some balloons, and we had some massive balloons we built in the garage, and we have some videos if you guys want to watch those, but we tried to use what the Japanese did during the Second World War, and that was to take a net and enclose the balloon in a net to keep it from expanding. And if you can keep it from expanding, you can keep it from exploding. But, you know,
there was an excellent presentation last weekend at the Near Space Conference in Poland, and Dan Bowen, K2VOL, used to work on Project Loon, and Loon, that's exactly what they did. They had a plastic zero pressure balloon. Well, it was a super pressure, but they had ropes all the way around the balloon envelope to make it look like a pumpkin, and you can handle a lot more pressure that way. And they were quite successful at it, but they worked at that quite a bit before they got to be successful.
Well, that would hold the pressure in and keep it from popping, but that does not.
And it allowed you to carry heavier payloads too.
Yeah. That does not fix the UV light that disintegrates the balloon. So
no, that was using.
But they were using a different material.
Plastic. Yeah, they were using.
Different material. So we thought about one time, just netting a weather balloon, and we thought, well, if we net a weather balloon, it might last a week, maybe, and we could net it a certain size, and that would pretty much, after we calculate the weight and volume, we'd know about where it was going to fly. Now, 112 is one of the very first Pico balloons that flew just really, really, really high. It even surprised us how high it got. I thought we were going to fly about 48,000 or so, and I think we started off flying around 51,000. So that's the first time we have ever broke 51,000. Or 50,000, but we found that there's very little air up there. There's not much air movement up there, and sometimes it goes the wrong way. At 50,000 feet, we went all the way to Japan, and had just that much more to go on the map to get to the U.S., and that thing turned around, and it came all the way back to California backwards. So we may hold the record of the furthest distance flying backwards,
A retrograde orbit.
Yeah. So, now, if you guys are interested, the weather balloon is the high altitude weather balloon is different than these, of course. And we did, Bill and I did one here this summer where we sent up one of the high altitude balloons, the weather balloon. We sent it up to 108,000 feet. And chased it, and we got a great video where we chased it all the way from Tennessee down to Mississippi. We were down there waiting on it, and Bill was helping to watch and give us directions, turn right, turn left. We were actually just about right under it. We made a wrong turn, or I think we could have probably caught it in our hands, but it went 60 miles and across 2 states when it came down, but it popped at 108,700 feet, I think, or something. And everything went perfect on that flight. We had cameras. We had 3 cameras in there. We had GPS. We had multiple GPSs, trackers, and everything just went perfect. And I'm afraid to try it again. That was a nerve-wracking thing going after that balloon. But the first one was easy because the projected path by software showed us exactly the path it was going to go. Man, it was so close and right about where it was going to land. And but I don't know. I don't think we'd ever be that lucky again. It would come down in a swamp somewhere or in a forest, and we'd probably lose it. Well, Chris is talking about the problem we had with that balloon on launch is only 20% full of gas, and if we netted a balloon, what we would do, we would inflate that balloon to get the volume that we wanted to fly at. We would inflate it to say, a half cubic meter with air, and we would build a net that would hold it to a half cubic meter. And then we'd let the air out, and then we'd only put 20% hydrogen in. And of course, we would hope it would expand and fill out that net, as it got up here. Let's see. Let's see what we got here in the chat room. I'm going to go ahead and post a link here in the chat room for people to join us if they would like to join us here. Again, if you have questions about the forum we did last week, feel free to come in and ask those questions. If you want to talk about balloons, feel free to ask that. You got Bill Brown. He's the expert with us here, and I'll be glad to answer your questions. So there's the Zoom link. We're now going into the show. After the show. I had somebody complain one time, 2-hour show is too long, he said. It's just too long. Okay, well, we fixed that. Amateur Radio Roundtable just ended. A little over an hour. Now we're in after the show. So, hey, this is just like real TV, right? We got after the show starting right now. So come on in, guys. There's a link, and join us with after the show. While I'm waiting, let me just throw a little thing out there real quick. Let me see what I got going here. I want to check a couple things real quick.
Yeah, all we need now is a blooper reel, and we got it made.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So again, if you're new to the show here, we got somebody. We got. Is it Bill? Yeah, we got Bill. So, hey guys, come on in here, join us on Zoom. Very informal. You don't even have to talk if you don't want to or ask questions. That's okay. Hey, if you're out there, hit that subscribe button right there. Hit the subscribe button, and it'll help us greatly to promote our channel. Really like you to do it. Join our Facebook group. It's called W5KUB. We got over 13,000 hams in it. You can listen to our show. This show is not simulcast, but broadcast in its entirety on WBCQ on Thursdays from 5 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. On WBCQ on 7490 up in Monticello, Maine. And there's a picture of it right there. July. Look what it looks like. Man, I wouldn't live up there for nothing, Glenn. Look at July up there.
Oh, I love it.
Look at that, man. At least it'd be cool, right? July down here, we got 110.
I was going to say, compared to this summer
90%.
last year, I'd take
at least there, we could throw some snowballs, right? Okay. Hey, Ann, we do have people that have sent me emails. We do have people out there that are listening on podcasts. We're carried by iTunes, Google Play, iNet Radio, just about all the big podcast carriers carry us out there. I think we've had something like 50,000 downloads off of our podcast, so it's running real good.
Well, that was just me. I was just
was
testing.
that you? Yeah. Okay, or Rodan or something.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. The
they
cats
keep it. Just put it on a link.
work.
Put it on a link and let the cat put some catnip or something on it, where they just keep touching it.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty much what they did.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, that's the deal, and I'm sticking to it right there, man. Okay. Well, all right. We got to wake up out there. I know there are people out there that have questions who would like to show us something, but they're not coming on here. Let's see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I want to welcome back in here Rich, W9TIT up at the Wisconsin. I think it's Wisconsin Military Academy. They a lot of times they'll put us up on the big 30-foot screen there in the auditorium, and the cadets will watch our show. Maybe they'll learn something up there. Maybe they'll learn how to fly a balloon. Bill, I've got that last balloon we flew. I think it was 1,000-gram balloon, and I've got a 600 gram weather balloon here. I thought about trying to fly, but again, it won't stay up very long. All right,
Yeah,
come
I mean
on.
that's
all
another
kinds
thing.
of-
King of Jersey.
I've
I was
got all
gonna
kinds of balloons here.
Yep.
I was going to say though, that's impressive that these cheap little Chinese balloons that you've got do 120 days without degrading in the UV.
Well, hard to say what's going on up here.
That's right. The ants are partying is what they're doing, man.
Yeah. You know, we lost them for that week up in the Arctic. It didn't scare me too much because over the years, I've seen many of these go silent for, maybe a month and then pop back out. And I knew where we were headed. The last report showed us heading up there. And then when you look at the sun
it's
angle.
very rare, but
Yeah.
it's very rare, but you can actually cross into the southern hemisphere during certain times of the year and certain conditions.
Yeah.
The German flight, NOB 34, I think it is. It did about 8 laps in the northern hemisphere, launched from Germany, and then all of a sudden it showed up going across Argentina and Australia, and it's been down there for the last few months.
Yeah, that's real unusual. We got real close to the equator one time, within just 50 miles, I think, but we never crossed it.
I've crossed it,
cool.
but usually when you get down around the equator, that's the kiss of death because that's the worst storms and the highest storms.
Oh yeah. And that's another thing. At the beginning of the show, I talked about it takes luck. You can do all you want to, but if you don't have luck, boy, it ain't gonna stay in the air. But we've been very lucky on this flight. When you look at some of the weather websites that show the storms, it seems like, man, and like Bill said, from the equator down, man, you get around India and over there in the Philippines and that area, man. I mean, it is like wall to wall. Man, it looks like landmines everywhere, man. It is. They're so solid over there. And then above that equator, it's almost nothing up there. So, but we're moving into winter now, so we should have not as many storms.
Well, they say any month with an R in it are the best times to make it around the world, and so we're well into that now. This is the perfect time to launch, as long as you avoid the hurricanes. But this is the perfect time to start thinking about doing a flight. November 1st is really the ideal time to launch something.
And then when you get that 51,000 feet to start with, you're pretty much above all the weather to begin with.
So, Bill, our tracker, our balloon we send down to the Antarctica, I guess they want a balloon with it too, right?
I think they'll be supplying the balloons.
You think
but
they
if
will?
you want to pre-inflate one and test it, they won't say no.
Yeah, as long as they have.
They have a lab where they're inflating, pressure testing them. They have a big lab in UAH where they're pressure testing these balloons, just like you do.
Are they doing big balloons or little
Well,
balloons?
no, I mean the ones that we have.
Yeah,
the Yokohama ones.
Yeah, I might need to send them a piece of heat shrink to slide in there. That is a small filler hole, man.
I've been using the polystyrene tubing from Sprue Brothers, and you can get them from eBay too, or Amazon.
Yeah.
It's what's the name of that company? But anyways, it's about 1 foot long, and it's very small diameter. But the coating, the polystyrene, is very slippery and smooth, so it goes in and out of the that nozzle beautifully.
Yeah.
But I have to run a little narrower diameter tubing than I typically use for those pancake.
Yeah, I've got one of those, and it just won't go in there. It takes something small.
No, those are too big. Let me see what diameter I use.
Man, I found that little piece of heat shrink, man. It just slides right in, and I mean, it's not solid. So if it needs to collapse a little bit, it can, and it works really well. All right, come on. We need some more people here. Where's Charlie down in Uruguay? Charlie, we need to get some more people in the room. There's a link. Join the link right there.
Bill's being awful quiet tonight.
Yeah, he is.
I was just going to ask a question. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, you have to raise your hand first, and then you can ask your question. We'll be acknowledged.
Excuse me. Stand by.
There you go. Yes.
All right.
What you need, Bill?
All right. I want to ask a question. Yeah. Bill has that. It's 5 and 30 seconds.
5:30 seconds tubing.
That's the outside diameter.
Yep.
0.156. And it's Evergreen is the company that makes this tubing. And that's the part number EVG0225. You can find them on Amazon and eBay. They come 5 to the pack, and they're about a foot long. This is what I use for those.
Okay, so Bill is wearing his Navy hat tonight. I need to go. I need to wear my Air Force hat.
I need to say something. All right.
What's that?
I've been volunteering at the Vietnam Moving Wall for 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
And they gave me my 50-year pin of being a Vietnam veteran.
Very cool.
That's cool.
And they held this ceremony. There was like 9 of us. They just lined us up in a row.
Well, that's because they couldn't.
Well,
get
at
the firing
least
squad
when they
put
lined
together.
you up, they didn't shoot you. I'm glad they gave you that award right
but
there.
There was a Marine major that was in charge of the ceremony there, and he went down and shook our hands and gave us the pin and said thank you for your service. And I said, it was my pleasure, sir.
Very cool.
Bill,
All right.
when I was clearing out my barn up in Ohio, my dad's barn, I found a duffel bag. And it was a Navy duffel bag. And there were 3 uniforms in there, rolled up neatly, hats and pants and shirts, just as neat as could be, from World War II, from 1945.
Wow.
Lord.
It was my dad's Navy uniform from World War II.
Cool.
And it was been in the barn for 70 years, just all wrapped up in the duffel bag.
Well,
Wow.
I tell you, I mean, hey, 70 years is not that long. I mean, let me tell you, I've got a duffel bag I got out a year or two ago out of the attic, and can't believe it, but man, hey, it was 50 years ago when I was in. 50, man. But anyway, hey, let's do this. So Bill wore his hat tonight, Navy. I need to go get my Air Force hat. Now, I'm going to ask the question in the chat room. Here's what I'm thinking, Glenn. I'm thinking that the majority of people are going to be Navy, and then I'm thinking Army's going to probably come second in there. I may have a few of my Air Force buddies in there. I don't know, but Marines may come third. I don't know as far as the number reporting here tonight. So let's do this. I want to see in the chat room. Tell us what branch of service if you serve. Navy, Army, Marines, Air Force. I'd like to see. I think the majority of them are going to be Navy. And I gotta tell us one more time. And I know I did it on the show one time, but we probably have some new people that didn't hear it. So. I was reading last month the DOD did this. They did a survey of military people, and they asked. They had a Navy guy, they had an Air Force guy, a Marine, and they had an Air Force guy, and they asked the question: if you went in your tent and there was a scorpion in there, what would you do? Now,
I'll tell you what the Army solution is.
what would the Army do?
Stop it.
Yeah, the Army would
Shoot.
the Army would stomp it. The Army would stomp it. What would the Navy do?
Oh, they drowned it.
Well, they'd do something with it. They'd probably get an ashtray or something and kill it. I mean, they'd kill it, right? Okay. What would a Marine do to it? Now, this is a scorpion. This is a scorpion. Here's a scorpion in his tent. What would a Marine do?
Eat it.
He would just tear the legs off with his mouth. He would just eat it. Now, do you know what the Air Force guy would do? You know what I would do?
He'd run screaming from the tent and look for
No,
the Marine.
no. I would pick up the phone. I'd call the desk downstairs and ask them what a tent's doing in my room. All right, let's see what we got here. Wow, hey, so far I don't have anybody in the chat room that's said anything. There's one guy, Eric. Let's see. He just said go Navy.
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't serve, but I worked in the Army Research Center developing things, electronics and gizmos and stuff that they didn't tell me what it was I was building. But we went out to do a test in Utah, the desert of Utah. And we put one of the boxes of equipment underneath the RV that we were using, the vehicle, to keep it out of the hot sun, because the Utah desert during the summer gets pretty hot. So when we came back and started unloading stuff in Huntsville here, we opened the lid of the box, and there was a big old scorpion just sitting in there, ticked off, having ridden all the way back from Utah to Alabama. And so the guy who was the lead of our project was wearing Army boots, and he flipped that scorpion out of the box onto the concrete floor. And to this day, there's still a grease spot in the shape of a scorpion where he stomped it.
Yeah. All right. The King of Jersey. We got one guy here. One guy with Navy. Let's see. I need to mark. I'll mark Bill down. That's 2 Navy. All right, that's 2 Navy. Come on. I know there's got to be some Air Force people in here. Come on. Hey, guys, help me out here.
Well, they saw me coming and canceled the draft. So.
Well, they saw me coming. That's what started the draft, man.
I was actually in the lottery when the Vietnam War was going on, and my cousin had a low number and went in, and I had a high number, so I think that was the last year of the draft.
Oh, I love what Eric had to say in the chat room. All the Air Force guys and girls are asleep. It's past their bedtime.
Well, hey,
Whoa.
that's all right. That's all right, man. Everybody's got to sleep,
And the comfy 5-star barracks hotel rooms.
Okay, so
without tents.
Bill Brown, I have a question for you, sir. Okay, the current balloon that Tom is flying, okay, it started out in excess of 50,000 feet, okay, and as it was going along, it started dropping down to 43,000, something like that, okay, and then I don't know, it hit a pocket of air or something, and the next thing you know, it's up at 46,000. I mean,
well, that has a lot to do with the location in the world and the pressure of the environment where you're at. Whether it's a high pressure or low pressure weather system, it can vary 3,000 feet depending on whether you're in a low pressure zone or high pressure zone. So that's a lot of the variance. Now, he's probably lost a little bit of lifting gas, but it's back up again around 48,000 feet. So if we were to come back down into low latitudes like back to Tennessee, it very well could be around 49 or 50,000 feet, because the height of the atmosphere for a given pressure is lower as you get up towards the poles.
Well, that's what I thought. It was the barometric pressure there. That,
But then you've
where
got
it was-
you've got atmospheric, weather phenomena through different high and low pressure zones. So that this is a constant pressure balloon. So whatever the pressure is, that's where it's flying, and that's the altitude for that given pressure. It will stay.
Okay. I was just curious. I noticed that it was going up and down.
And if
up
you
and down,
look
up and down.
at, there's sites where you can get radiosonde data from weather balloons that are launched twice a day from all over the world. And if you look at sites in the southern U.S. versus ones in northern Canada, for a given pressure, you can see the altitude, and you'll see the difference.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think they got the wrong Bill the Science Guy on TV. We got the best one.
I'm Bill Brown. I'm Bill Brown, the science clown.
Oh, well.
That sounds rehearsed. You've been called that before.
I have.
He's not exploding balloons in a I guess you'd say a
controlled manner.
Right, yeah. Oh, I like that hat, Tom. I like that hat.
Everybody's going to run for theirs, and I don't have one.
What is that?
Look at that. Yes, sir.
That's my ranch.
Oh. What's the other one? Oh.
Yep, Bill ran to
Right.
get his. Guess he's going to get us
let's
his
see.
NASA hat.
I was going to get my dad's hat
Ah, there you go.
from the Navy, but it's at my other house.
Ah,
Here's my other hat.
Yeah. Well, Bill, I pull that duffel bag. I don't think anything fits anymore.
yeah, it's
it-
amazing how small you were. When you were over there.
I was skinny. I was little. I was skinny. When I took my physical, listen to this, guys. I was a runt, man. When I took my physical, you had to be 120 pounds to pass the physical.
They gave you 2 rolls of quarters for your pockets.
And I clocked in here at physical. I clocked in at 119, man. But they took me anyway.
Well, we had somebody come in. I think it was like 118 and a half, and the recruiter told them, go home and eat peanut butter sandwiches all weekend and come back and see me on Monday.
Well, hey, you could drink a gallon of water. That's 8 pounds right there.
Yeah.
You go out to the water fountain, and Of course, I'm not sure anybody with the Vietnam War going on really heavy right then. I don't know if anybody's just really wanting to just get in, but
Oh, Papa loves you, Rick.
No, she's just decided tonight she's going to be a pest. She slept all through the show, and then now it's close to the end of the show, and she's got to be the pest. You actually had Godzilla in here earlier, too.
Oh, Lord.
Well, Eric says
that's strange.
Eric says here he's found the prettiest girls were in the Air Force. Let me tell you, hey, when I was in the Air Force, there weren't any girls in the Air Force. There weren't any. I'm not sure what year they found them in.
Let's see.
Probably probably late 70s.
Yeah, I was going to say because let's see, 74. I was at Naval Air Station Fallon, and we had 4 females in the admin department.
Yeah. What year was that?
74.
Yeah, that's probably just about
And then I went to Dam in Virginia Beach in 75, and there was it 60 over 40.
Yeah. See, I got out in '73.
I was still in
yeah.
high school.
I got out in '73.
What? You was what, man?
I was still in. I didn't graduate in high school until '75.
What did it do? Keep setting
Lord
you
have
back?
mercy.
I'd already gone through 3 years of college and finished there, 4 years in the Air Force, man. Golly. But they must have kept sending you back or something.
No, actually, I've never got to. I was a year early, in fact.
Is that right? Gee.
Yeah,
whiz.
Eric in the chat room. He was born in '77.
Oh, man.
Young.
All right.
Yeah, but
Well-
the scary part is I've been a ham since like '73 or '74, so I'm going on 50 years as a ham.
Yeah.
You can join the quarter. What is it? The quarter?
No, I can join the half century.
half century. Well,
I could too.
Yeah,
I'm a member of the Half Century Wireless Association.
yeah.
Now, I'll tell you a little bit of military trivia. Did you know there was a ham radio operator who pushed the button to fire the very first Trinity atomic bomb test?
No.
He was a good friend of mine, also one of the pioneers developing slow scan television.
Oh, cool. I love
nice.
slow scan.
It was Don Miller, Whiskey 9, November Tango Papa. He was big in amateur television and slow scan, but he was with Copthorne McDonald. He was one of the pioneers of slow scan.
nice.
And had a business selling slow scan equipment and fast scan TV.
Oh,
equipment.
yeah. I loved slow scan back in the day with those old robot.
The
cameras
P7 phosphors. And
Yeah.
so Don and I go way back, not as far as World War II, obviously, but he was on the Manhattan Project, and he walked into Oppenheimer's office and said, "I hear you're going to test the gadget soon, and I can rig up a remote link via RF so that you don't have to run miles and miles of cable to ignite it." And so Oppenheimer gave him the job, and he went down to Alamogordo and set up a remote link from a Jeep near the bunker. And he said he walked out, pushed the button in the Jeep, ran back to the bunker, and about a minute later it ignites, and then he walked back out and his friend took a brownie photograph of the explosion, and it actually worked better than some of the high-speed cameras.
Wow.
And but he had that photograph in his on his wall for many years.
Very cool.
And they were the first people to be knocked down by an atomic blast. They saw a wall of dust heading for them, and the Oppenheimer, Fermi, and General Groves were shouting at them to get back in the bunker, and they couldn't make it, and they got knocked down by the blast. And he was healthy until the age of 92. Healthy as a horse, never sick a day in his life.
Wow. That's just too cool.
And he was on the Bikini Atoll test, pulling equipment and high-speed cameras off of these sinking ships that they put out there to see how the ships would handle the blast. And I said, "What did they use for protect you from the radiation?" And he says, "They gave us coveralls and they burned them afterwards."
Well, they didn't know
Lower,
about
lower.
radiation back then.
No, they didn't.
He had one of the, he pulled a ship's comm unit out of a Japanese destroyer, which is one of the captured ships that they used in the test. And he had it up on a shelf, and he had a Geiger counter, and he put it up next to that radio handset, and it pegged the meter.
Oh, wow.
And he had a piece of trinitite. You know what trinitite is?
Yeah, that's the,
Use sand in the Trinity site
right.
caused by the blast, and he put the Geiger counter next to that and it pegged it.
Oh, gosh.
And that was 70 years later.
That's
But,
amazing.
Yeah,
He
it
was
doesn't go
real
away that fast.
He was a real life Indiana Jones. He collected artifacts from all over the world, and it just amazing fellow. But
Oh man.
he passed away in his early 90s. But I've been friends with him for many years. But he's got I've got a lot of photos of his little private museum he had there.
It's just too cool.
All right. Anybody else want to join us out there? Here's the link one more time. We need some new people in here. Somebody come in with an interesting story.
I mean, I have interesting stories, but I think a lot of them are still classified.
Yeah.
Because I spent 7 years down at Pratt Whitney Aircraft Government Products Division, and that's where they did all the research for the SR-71, F-14, 15, and 16 engines. We got all the data acquisition on the engines while they were doing all the research back then.
I saw 2 SR-71s in a hangar at Dryden,
Oh,
out
man.
in California, at the NASA Dryden Center, and they were used for their high altitude research there. And they had big pans underneath the birds, and I said, "What are these for?" He says, "To catch the fuel
Yeah.
that leaks out of the tanks, because they're designed that when they take off, they dump all kinds of fuel on the runway because they've got to heat up to seal up."
Yeah. I mean, it's truly amazing. Those things just leak like a sieve when they're on the ground. But to test it, they actually had they had to feed the jet with it was a ramjet engine, so they actually had a turbojet ahead of it to actually compress the air to feed it for the ground testing. Yeah, that was so, and that engine was like maybe 100, 200 feet behind my office there. I was inside the computer room. So whenever they ran that thing up, the ground would shake, just everything would rattle off the shelves.
They had one doing a ground test of a 1,000,000-pound thrust engine that blew up, and was at Crossfield, and he was fine. He was in the cockpit, but the engine completely blew up. The whole back part of the aircraft was gone.
Wow.
And they rushed out and got him out of the cockpit, and he was fine.
Yeah, we blew up a number of them while I was there, because they had like 10 test cells, and it was pure research. So, they were pushing them to the limit all the time. And they had one where the compressor blades kind of spun out to the side, kind of like a loose saw blade on a circular saw. Just kind of came out the side of the engine. But that was actually one of my most favorite jobs of all time, because we were doing data acquisition. I think it was like 800 channels of analog to digital data acquisition on each engine. And we were the frontline data acquisition folks, and then we'd compress it and whatnot and send it on up to the main building 5 miles up the road. And then we had Sikorsky Flight Research was there on the ground. They built the Black Hawk and did all not built it, but they did all the test flights for the Black Hawk while I was down there. And you'd only see it at dusk and dawn so that it avoid the Soviet satellite overpasses. So every morning you'd be driving into work and you look over and there's a Black Hawk hovering about 10 feet off the tarmac. Yeah, that was a lot of fun for that job. You never knew what was going to happen next. And we were in the middle of the Everglades, so invariably they'd close off the main entrance to the computer room, and you'd have to go in the back door because an alligator had crossed up from the lake behind, and he couldn't cross the fence. So he was stuck at the fence, and the fence was right at our front door. So there'd be a big sign, "Don't use front door," use the back, and you'd walk around to the viewing window and watch this very angry gator trying to get to the other side of the road, and he couldn't, and he was not real happy. So they'd get a guard to come down and open up the gate, and then they'd get like a piece of 20-foot all-thread rod, shove him out the gate.
Mm.
That was a lot of fun, though.
Well, guys, where is everybody tonight? Where's Charlie? I missed Charlie.
He was in the chat room a little while
Was
ago.
Charlie in there?
Yeah. All right, I got to ask, N7XGR, why do you have a Geiger counter right next to your bed? That's different.
That's Bruce.
Yeah. You know, why do you need a Geiger counter in your bed? You know, nuclear-powered remote control for the TV, maybe?
Well, he may have one of those clocks that the hands glow.
There you go. Yeah, those old radium clocks.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with the Timex with the radium dial. You know, dear God, you know, how much radiation did I take on my left arm?
I don't know.
Actually, it's kind of cool with the glow in the dark, you know, watches back then, though. I didn't realize they were going to make me glow in the dark too.
So what do they use now? Like in these new cars, you know, in the trunk, that thing, the handle glows, that release handle.
No idea.
I wonder what they use to make it glow. Some kind of phosphorus or something. I guess I don't know.
Phosphorus would have to charge in daylight.
Yeah. I'm just wondering. I guess if you open the trunk, maybe if it charged fast, but
I don't know. That'd be something fun to research. WD8IOL says it's tritium. But isn't that radioactive too, or is it super low level radiation?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not a scientist, so I have no clue.
You'll have to.
No, that's all he knows too. Yeah, we're gonna have to go Google it.
You'll have to operate your balloons with tritium. They're.
Yeah, glow. So they'll glow in the dark.
That's right.
I'm just amazed that it's gone 115 something days. That's just amazing.
Still have a wristwatch that I got in the 60s that it's got the radium dials on them.
Exactly. I mean, I was given one as a kid. That was my favorite watch, man.
I won it for selling the most band candy in high school.
Oh, wow. Now, it was a Christmas present to me in like 64, 65, something like that. Maybe even less.
About when I got this.
Yeah. And I really love that. You know, the glow in the dark was just the right brightness, the right color, the right everything. I just didn't know it was going to make me glow with it.
That's right.
I've actually got one of those clocks that projects on the ceiling now, so I don't have to roll over and look and see what time it is. I just open my eyes and look up.
So, hey, Bill, if we send a balloon down here, they're going to know how to seal it?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
They've been flying a bunch of these.
Okay.
I think that would be cool to fly it out of Antarctica.
I may try to use a different solar cell. Those little those cells like you fly. I can get a 5 volt easily, if I like 5 volt 50 milliamp, but they don't put out enough current to.
They put out 4.8 volts at about under load about 50 milliamps.
Yeah, I've tried those on this little tracker. It wouldn't put out enough to run it, so that's the reason I went to others.
You need
to at least, yeah.
Yeah, you need them, and
now they make a bigger cell. I mean, you can get more capacity.
I run two of them in parallel. The 3.6 volt ones.
Yeah,
and I get 4.5 volts at.
Yeah.
I get 4.5 volts, but I'm drawing 30 milliamps.
Yeah. The 4.8 volt that I've got, they won't run it. So.
Well, they won't run your regular board by itself without the PA.
Nope. They're not. They don't have enough current.
That's odd because you aren't drawing any more current than my boards do, and
it draws about 60 milliamps. It draws about 60.
Mine only draws 30.
Yeah, here's some 4.8 right here.
Yeah, I run 2 of those.
These are the thin ones. So look, you can get the same 4.8. You can get the same 4.8 in the UV one right here. This one weighs maybe a little over a gram. You take the same one here that's UV.
It's 4 grams.
It's like 4 or 5 grams. I mean, it is heavy.
Right. Yeah.
So
you don't need that.
Yeah, these wouldn't run it. Did
you run them in parallel?
Yeah. Well, that was with some other trackers. Yeah. But I haven't run any with this. I haven't run any of these.
60 milliamps, but it'll run 30.
Yeah, I haven't run any of these with this tracker here. So I've got some. Let me see what I got here, man.
The original ICT tracker drew about 30 milliamps.
Well, just sitting there idle, it draws 27, and when it goes to transmit, it draws about 60. Is what I'm seeing. I got some of these. Look at this.
Well, you're not turning off your GPS then.
Maybe not.
Because when you transmit, it should be pretty much the same if you turn the GPS off.
Maybe. Look at this. I wonder what these are.
Are those the flexible solar panels?
Yeah, these are flexible.
What are they rated at?
I don't know. But based on, well,
because they make bigger.
Yeah, based on, looks like it's got the same.
It looks like.
It looks like one.
Looks like 3 times the capacity.
Yeah, that'd be one.
That one ought to do it.
2, 3. That's 3. Yeah. I'll put that. Yeah, but that sucker probably heavy though.
Well, weight's not that big a concern in Antarctica.
Yeah, these are. They've got a peel off back on them. They're sticky.
Did you get those from Power Film Solar?
That looks like who made them. Somebody just sent me these, but they look like the same Power Film. You know.
Do you have a model number on those? Those might be the ones they use for model aircraft.
No.
They had some UAVs where they had the adhesive back on them.
Yeah. This has got the little sticky back. You just peel it off and plop it right on.
Now, would you need the styrofoam when you?
Well, you got to hold them somehow. I mean, you got.
I just put mine on a little piece of brass tubing.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have something to hold them for sure.
Because I was going to say that might even lighten you up a little bit more if you didn't have to use the styrofoam.
Well, I tell you, styrofoam is about the lightest thing man makes. I have weighed just about everything here, and I mean, I've got styrofoam that's so light it almost floats. I have to weight it down. That styrofoam it has practically zero weight to our trackers here. Yeah.
Well, that looks like an interesting one if you've got the specs on it.
That looks like what?
I'll look on their website and see if I can find that one.
Looks like 3. So I guess that would.
So that's probably.
That's probably that may be it may be like 4.8 volts at 150 mils.
Yeah, probably that ought to do it.
Yeah.
How much does that weigh?
That's pretty
Probably
heavy.
5
I
grams
weigh
more.
it. I've ordered some of these little cells. They're like, but they're heavy. They're like plastic or
Oh, yeah.
something. Or
Yeah, I've got some of those. They're very.
Yeah, I ordered these just to see how much they weighed, because I think this is a 3 volt. This is a 3 volt, 150 milliamp.
Yeah,
But it's
probably
heavy.
20 grams.
It's heavy. Yeah, it's heavy. Let me see what one of these weighs. Let's just check it out here. All right. This is going to weigh in at, woo, 17 and a half.
Yeah, but you got that adhesive back.
Yeah, but that's pretty thin. I don't know. 17 and a half.
But you don't need all that. They make one that's just the panel.
Yeah.
That's higher current. That's all you need.
These UV ones right here, these suckers, they're
very heavy.
that's almost 5.
I made one out of those.
Yeah.
The customer wanted them specially made, and I told them how much that it would add 8 grams to the payload, and they didn't care.
Right.
So I did, but it was heavy.
Can you tell it's time for the show to end?
Say what?
Yeah.
It's about time for
The
the show?
attention getters coming.
Yeah, it's about time.
I am being told that it's time to go get a treat.
Yeah,
it's about time for popcorn too, or something here.
That's what it is. I go out and sit in my chair, and she lays in my lap while I have my popcorn.
Hey, so let me just say thanks to all you people out there to watch tonight. Thank you if you've been listening on shortwave on WBCQ 7490. We will see you next week, Tuesday. Tune in to our live video show Tuesday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Just go to W5KUB.com. We got a chat room here. Shoot us an email. Let us know where you are and if you're hearing us tonight. See you later. Good night, everybody. I need to load up some videos here for there we go.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type the question. It will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
All right, what's going on here? Something's stuck.
Uh-oh.
Something is stuck. Let's see, that's working. That's working. That's working.
In other words, we have to stay here for the next 24 hours until it gets unstuck.
Yeah.
It's just like Groundhog Day.
Wonder why that's not working.
Same
Wonder why that's not working.
It's like that Twilight Zone episode with the guy with the stopwatch that can stop time around him.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Then he drops the stopwatch and breaks it, and he's stuck.
That's actually one of my favorite movies. Was The Girl, the Gold Watch, and Everything.
Oh. All right. Well. Anyway, hey.
That one.
Thanks. Thanks
70s.
everybody. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks to the chat room. Let's see on board computers.
Yeah, it's one of those campy 70s movies.
Oh.
But yeah, the title is The Girl, the Gold Watch, and Everything. And
All right.
It's about a guy who had a watch that could stop time.
We're terminating the webcast right now.